Democrats. Today is Wednesday, May 19th. Happy Wednesday. It's also, Elected Official Appreciation Day. It's not too late to call your elected officials and tell them how much you appreciate them. You'll probably have to leave the message with their LA, but they'll be glad to get the message. If you didn't get a chance to make it to the Capitol today, send them an email, let them know. I spent the evening last night with a lot of our elected officials in the House, Democrats, and it was an interesting evening, and it was good to hang out with them. But at first glance, before I even got to say hello and figure out, get me something to eat, I walked into a crowd of our elected officials, and they were all talking in frustration about the budget. So you guys have heard about the budget, and there were a lot of shenanigans. It was done in secret. Democrats weren't invited in for the conversation. They weren't asked for input. There was a budget that was developed and approved, and Democrats were told that this elected official, whose name I can't remember right now, will meet with you guys for lunch and go over the budget and answer any questions that you have. It's not a single page spreadsheet, right? This is our state budget. And so they were given an hour where somebody spent a good portion of the time reviewing it, and then a little bit of time to ask questions. That's not how you do a budget. A budget requires transparency and input from all involved. And so the budget was heard yesterday, and our Democrats did not vote for the budget. Not because they don't want Oklahomans to have good core services, but because it was not done in transparency, and it's not a long range, full throated budget that takes everything into consideration. So that's where we are. So if you hear anything else, I heard it straight from the folks who cast the votes. As I was spending time with them yesterday evening, there were things like the earned income tax credit, which happens when, it's an earned income tax credit that had been messed with, but it was going to be restored. So that's good, right? Because in our state, our tax rate is about 5% across the board. Whether you make 18,000 or 18 million, it's a 5% across the board. So an earned income tax credit sounds good. But what they did was they changed it. They pulled the old switcheroo, moving it from a credit to a cut. Once you cut a tax, it's hard to get that tax back. It actually requires more folks to vote on it in our legislature for it to happen. And so what they've done is they've built it so it's impossible to undo, or nearly impossible to undo and restore. And why this is a difference is nobody wants to pay more taxes. Everybody knows that. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. But the reality is taxes are what form the base of it's our revenue structure. It is how we pay for core services. It's how we pay for roads and schools and hospitals and those kind of things, how we pay for core services. And we keep cutting away at that and cutting away at that and cutting away at that. So that's why in the state of Oklahoma, people are driving across bridges that are falling apart under their car. That is why you have to get your car realigned as much as you do, because of the huge potholes that feel like sinkholes. That is why, because we keep cutting away at our core services. And how are we making it up? We make it up on fines and fees. What we are doing is we are criminalizing a good portion of society by fining them for this and making fees for that, so that we can supplement our budget. And so that incentivizes us to criminalize things and make everything else be a fee, when we should really 5% is 5% is pretty low. And I'll tell you, I don't want to pay a whole lot of taxes, but if it means I can drive on roads, I can stand to pay a little bit more. And I think we all can. But we just say, if they get to brag about how they cut taxes, but the second part of that sentence is at your expense. because that's really what it is. It's at our expense. It's why it costs more now to recycle your tires than it used to cost. It's why it costs more to do all of these little things. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you get taxed here and there, everywhere, and that's to make up our budget. Which is why, a simple speeding ticket that you don't pay turns into a warrant, then you get arrested, and there are all these little fines and fees and all these extra things, and that's how we're paying for stuff. That's not a sustainable plan. It's not a sustainable plan, but that's what was presented, and that's what our House Democrats told me they couldn't support, and it makes sense to me. And I saw somewhere here somebody mentioned Trish Ranson, and she was one of the legislators that I talked to, because Trish Ranson does a live every Tuesday morning, and I try to catch it where she breaks it down and she explains it. She explains it very well. You don't have to be a wonk to understand what she's telling you about the budget. And if you get a chance, 8:30 in the morning, Trish Ranson, it's really, really cool. And yeah. So the taxes on my phone bill, it is shameful. My phone bill should be $50, but it's insane. And it's all the taxes and fees. And so a $50 phone bill is not a $50 phone bill anymore. It's insane the way we tax and fee every little thing. And so this budget, you're going to hear the Republicans talk about, look at how much money we gave education. What you need to know is that a lot of that isn't going to public education. There's a bunch of it that's going to private schools. Public dollars going to private schools. That is real talk. That is really in the current budget. And yay for you if you can afford to send your kids to private school. That's awesome. I am not anti-private school at all. But if you want your kids to go to private school, you gotta pay for it. And everybody wouldn't be in such a hurry to send their kids to private school if we properly funded our public schools and folks felt like their kids could get a quality education there. And if we stop taking money from there, there's a better chance that it will do what it needs to do. One of the things that I want to make sure that you guys hear and share with as many people, Oklahoma got $2 billion of pandemic relief funds that went into our budget. That's awesome. That's great. They're not talking about it because they got it from a Democrat president. But Oklahoma got $2 billion and that went into the budget. No one's talking about that. Here's the problem with that. When that $2 billion isn't there next year, where are we going to make that up? There's more that goes into making a budget than putting together a pretty spreadsheet that sounds good. It needs to be sustainable, and it needs to be something that you can carry over from year to year with reasonable modifications that are pretty simple to understand. We've put a lot of money back. You're also going to hear them bragging about how much money we put into savings. We put a lot of money into savings without fixing core services. And doesn't everybody know you're always supposed to save money if you can? But you don't save money in lieu of paying your bills. You pay your bills and you save money. You don't save money while not taking care of your day-to-day. You cannot answer to your mortgage company that, I wasn't paying you guys, but I do have money in savings. They don't want to hear that. Pay your bills and save. And we're putting all this money back into savings, but not paying for core services. I can't even begin to pretend to explain and understand the logic behind that, but that is what we're doing. And they're bragging about it, but it does not have it does not have what it takes for long range success. So I just wanted to explain that, because you're going to hear a whole bunch of talk about that. And I promised our legislators that I would try my best to explain it so that you guys could understand what's going on, because you're going to hear about it. And it wasn't just, we don't like what the Republicans say. It was, we didn't have input, we didn't have a chance to ask any questions, and they didn't take long range plans into account. So that's what that is. And I just wanted to explain that to you guys. So that's my bill. It's not really a bill, but it is kind of. So that's the bill, because I always talk about bills, electeds, and elections. The electeds that I want to highlight again today is elected official appreciation day. Still not too late to call them and thank them. Drop a card in the mail. Be nice to their LAs when you call, because they're working hard as well. Thank you. But then I also wanted to highlight Representative Jason Lowe and Representative Monroe Nichols. The Legislative Black Caucus held elections recently, and Jason Lowe is the chair, the newly elected chair, and Monroe Nichols is the newly elected vice chair. Congratulations, guys. I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do, because they're both guys who are out there making sure that we know what's going on. They're progressive, and I think that we'll be hearing great things from them here in the next year. And so now it's time to talk about elections. So this weekend, this Saturday, the Stonewall Federation will be having their biannual convention where they'll be electing their leadership. This is a good way for you to get involved at the grassroots level. Check them out. They're on our website. They also have a Facebook event. You have to pre-register because it's on Zoom, all that kind of good stuff. Check it out and join them. They are also building their membership. That's Stonewall this Saturday at the 22nd. And then 2 weeks from then, June 5th, is the Disability Federation Convention where they'll be electing their leadership. Another way for you to get involved. I believe that they also have a link on Facebook of how you can get involved, and you'll also have to pre-register for that. Let's see. So that's June 5th. June 8th, I'm going to sneak this one in. All over the state, not in every county, but in Tulsa, certainly where I live, there will be propositions on the ballot on June 8th. Please exercise your right to vote in everything, not just presidential elections, not just Congress and Senate, but in your propositions, in your school board races, all those kinds of things. Please participate in those elections. And so June 8th, if you have a vote, please learn about your propositions and vote accordingly. If you don't know what's going to be on your ballot, go out to the state election board, pull up your sample ballot, and get to studying. Your voice is your vote. And then I want to add June 12th. June 12th is the Oklahoma Democratic Party State Convention, where we'll be deciding who's going to lead our party, chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer, and then 4 affirmative action slots. So we're going to elect those positions at state convention, as in addition to updating our constitution and our bylaws and revising our platforms, or what we call our resolution. So this is an unprecedented time. We are moving into convention, and we've been all through this convention season electronically. And Democrats we're social beings. We're used to being together and talking and having camaraderie and looking each other in the eye. And we're unable to do that. Everybody's doing everything remotely. And so this is you're going to hear me say this all the way up through June 12th. This is my call for civility. And I'm saying this to everyone, including the people who are supporting me. Please be kind to one another. Please do not add to the vitriol and hatefulness that splinters our party at this time of the year. This time of our season. Don't get involved in any of that nonsense. Remember, we are better together. We are better together when we work together, shoulder to shoulder, and we remember that we're all in this together. So I'm imploring, please be kind to one another. You guys thanks for joining me, and I'll be back tomorrow at 4:15. Have a good one.